Alright, welcome back to the channel. Continuing on where this spa install was, we're going to do some work inside today. So before we get started though, I need you guys to stop what you're doing, hit the like and subscribe right now, because you guys have been doing a horrible job at that, and I actually do a horrible job at that also to other people. So stop what you're doing, hit the like and subscribe, and let's get this thing going here. So what we're gonna do here today is, they got a dining room table here with no light. We're gonna add a light here above this dining room table. Here's the light right here. Cool little light. We're gonna turn this switch here to a 2-gang switch, add a dimmer to control that light. Also, the way this fan's installed in this house, a little far back, so we're going to move this fan also into the living room a little bit better. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to line it up center of that window, as close as we can get it. It just depends on how the framing is up there. The other thing we got going on is in this bathroom. There's only a light above the shower, so they want to add a light above the toilet here, so we're going to add a can light here. It's going to be switched on with that light, and we're also going to replace that can light so they both match, so there's not mismatched lights in one little room. So that's it for the day. We're going to go ahead and get this install going and get out of here. Alright, so we're just going to take this ceiling fan down. We're going to do all of our measurements for the dining room light and prep as much as we can so we go in the attic the least amount of time. So let's get the ceiling fan taken down. Bags on here. Landers Electric, always wear your bags, even in the trenches. Actually, what we're gonna do before we get started here is we're gonna get this couch and stuff covered up with plastic. All right, let's get another piece here. Alright, that plastic didn't want to stay, so we're gonna make it stay. Alright, now let's get that ceiling fan taken down. So that wiring that goes to this ceiling fan is getting fed from switches over there. So I'm hoping that the route of that cable, or the Romex, I'll be able to unstaple it and then reroute it to the new location, and then that location we're just gonna put a white blank cover there. They didn't want to patch the sheetrock, so that's what we're gonna do. All right, now let's get this dining table location laid out. Move my camera here. I'm just gonna shoot this with a laser. This is where the table lives, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna mark center of the table this way, like that. Over here, measure this table. Mark 2 center points on each side. So we're 30 and a half, so it's 15 and a quarter. One there, one there. Then we're gonna measure this way. So that's 71 and a half. So we're gonna go 35 and 3/4. There's about there. So now we just gotta mark up these laser lines, and we'll go up on the ceiling and put some tape, and we'll mark it out. And we'll see for clear studs, if we got to mount a pancake box, what we have to do. Right there. Now we're just gonna go up on the ceiling. If you guys had a plumb bob laser, you could, this would be a lot easier and faster, but I don't have one of those, so this is the way we're gonna do it. Just move the laser. Also, Milwaukee, your laser tripod is absolute garbage. This thing just has a hell of a time staying level. One of the little swivel points doesn't allow it to go flat, so it's just a pain in the ass. I really hate this tripod. So if you guys can not use the Milwaukee one with the Milwaukee laser, I would suggest that. Milwaukee, if you're listening, try to do something different there. I'll show you guys up close here in a little bit. what exactly I'm talking about. And I do know from being up there the other day that the studs go this way. I'm just going to use my Racketeers magnet. Racketeers makes a ton of good things. I love Racketeers. If I could, I'd buy every single product they have. I can't afford that, so Racketeers send me some stuff. Alright, so there's a stud right there. One right. Another one right there. So I always just like to measure it. See if close to 24 inches. Your ceiling joists are going to be 24 inches on center. And that's exactly 24 inches. Your wall joists will be 16 inches on center. Ceiling 24 inches on center. So my center point is about 2 inches from center of the stud. I did bring a side mount and a side mount ceiling fan boxes. If you're going to be adding a box, you guys, you need to make sure you're putting in fan rated boxes, even though if you're not putting a fan in. So let's just see how this lines up. So it goes just like that. So that'll be 2 inches, so it'll be off by 3/4 of an inch. That's close enough, you'll never notice that. And we can move the table a little bit too. The other thing too we gotta keep in mind of is there's a sprinkler line running through here, so we gotta be extra careful. I bought this 12-foot hose extension off Amazon for my Milwaukee vacuum here. I'll put a link in the description. Just makes it so I don't have to try to put the vacuum on top of the ladder or use bungee ties or any of that crap. You just have this, attach it to the normal hose. Alright, so all I was doing there is I just wanted to be sure where the face of the stud was. I'm just going to mark this out. I'll mark center of this box here. It's going to be 2 inches. So our center point is going to be 2 1/8 from the face of that stud. Here's the stud right there. 2 1/8. So we're going to be 1 inch off center, so the table can move over an inch. That's not an issue. I just got these new Racketeer bags, so I'm still all confused on where all my stuff is because it's completely different than my last bags. My last bags I had for 20 years. I loved them, so it's a big change to have things in different spots after 20 years. There are some things I don't like about this Racketeer bag set. They have this quick tape thing with this spring, but honestly, every time I turn around, my tape's on the ground. But other than that, they're pretty good. I'm used to having my tape measure right here, and now it's back here, so I'm always like, where the hell is it? So let me grab my Milwaukee dust bowl with my cutter here. It just goes in like this. Bam, cut it right out. 1/16. Adjust this a little bit. Actually need to wipe some sheetrock off this thing, it's hard to read. Get this thing all wiped up here. You can see the measurement there, 4 1/8. Put this back on. Before I cut this, I'm going to take my screwdriver center and just make sure I'm clear of that sprinkler line. That's that. A little bit of a mess, but not bad. I'm going to get this box mounted in there, that way to stop insulation from coming through. And also, now that we got it drilled, we can move the table out of the way. It's laser anymore, so get rid of this. Hey, Mr. Kitty. So I'm off this bracket up here and try to get it center. Usually the trickiest part is getting it center. Actually, gonna mark it. It'd be nice if they put a center mark on this. Before I get too crazy, I just want to double check it. It's off just a little bit, so just gonna shave a little bit of sheetrock here. So we'll do it right there. The longer you guys have your drill tip, the easier it is to get, be less of an angle to get in there, so it's a lot easier. Voila, there it is, perfect. Knock this knockout out. Our plastic bushing in. Make sure you guys are always using a bushing. Don't just run your Romex through a sharp metal hole. Put our ground screw in here. Left my Phillips tip over there by the camera. Drill, so we'll just do this by hand. There, perfect. There's a tiny little bit of a gap right here just because I had to shave the sheetrock up against the stud a little bit because it was off a little bit, but nothing that any canopy wouldn't cover. For me, what I'll probably end up doing is just put a little bit of caulking here, just so there's not a gap there and a way for things to fall down inside the light. All right, let's get this cleaned up, and we'll move on to the living room. Could have put some plastic down here, but honestly, I didn't think that this much would fall. And it's pretty easy to clean up, so it's not gonna take a bit. This table will wipe up. Before we leave, every area we touch will be cleaner than it was when we got here. Good for now. Let's move on to the living room. Get that box installed. I'm gonna throw some plastic down in the living room just to eliminate that problem again. All right, so what I'm gonna do here, like I said, I'm gonna line it up with center that window there. And then here, probably just the center of this wall. I'm just gonna measure this one. I'm not gonna get crazy with the laser. So 101 3/4. Just write that down because I will forget. The wall's 205 inches. 102 3/4. All right, let's get this measured out. So that was 102 3/4. 101 3/4. Double check my measurements. Yeah. Center of window, center of wall. I think it's lined up with the old ceiling fan. That works. So good. Now let's see where these studs are. Like I said, I do know the studs run this way, so let's see. Just gotta run this magnet around until you find a screw head. Sometimes you find them really fast. Sometimes it takes a second. This magnet's pretty strong, so you'll feel it. You'll grab the stud pretty easily. Or the screw head, I mean, right here somewhere. There. This stud out, this stud here. That should be right here. I'm gonna go ahead and get this drilled. I'm pretty confident that we're good because it's in line of that fan box. So that fan box is a regular fan box with the bracket, so we're gonna be good here. Let's get this bad boy drilled out. And this fan box will get mounted from up above. I didn't buy a remodel box because I had to go up there anyways. So I just got a regular fan box. I'll be screwed into the stud. It never fails when you put the plastic down, there's not much of a mess. Since it's gonna get mounted from up above, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna tape this hole off just to eliminate a bunch of insulation from falling down so I can get up there and clear all out of the way. And my box is gonna get mounted anyway, so. All right. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take apart this switch over here. Take this switch apart here. We'll get it all opened up and ready. So we can make the least amount of trips up into the attic as possible. All right, let's get this switch taken apart here. Let's see, drill. Sure, I turned off the breaker, but let's just make sure it's it. Definitely wasn't it, so I turned off a breaker that said kitchen and living room, so thought that this circuit would be on that. Let's go try another breaker. Dishwasher, microwave, kitchen GFI, bath GFI, irrigation washer, media, bedrooms 2 and 3. I'm gonna try master and smokies. Hopefully that doesn't set the smoke alarms off. I've had that happen before when you turn power off to the smoke detectors and they all go off. Master bedroom's right on the other side of the living room, so let's see if that was it. That was it. Why they tied that to the master instead of the circuits that are the closest, beyond me. That's why you always double check. Don't ever assume. This makeup kind of sucked. I mean, I don't really mind the twist because I twist my wires too, but not that much. But like that wire right there was pretty far down, barely getting in contact with the wire nut. It's like someone braided this like a ponytail. Jesus. French braid your wires. And with crimp sleeves, I always just smash it down and then turn it the other way and try to uncrimp it, and it usually works pretty good, as you just saw. So now let's just see what side the stud's on. So the stud's on that side, that's gonna have to go away. And then I'm just gonna mark out my 2-gang, cut it out, and then it'll be easier to pop that box out. Those wires are on my way for a second. Right there. Level it up, mark it out. That's it. Get the back in, we'll cut this out. Man, I wasn't expecting to be another stud right there, but man, look how lucky I got. Literally flush. Get some of this out. And wild. Never had that happen before. Let's come in here and just pop these nails off like that. Do myself a favor and straighten these up as much as I can. Makes it easier if you just cut these nails out of your way. Man. Alright, let me get my multi-tool. I'm just gonna cut. What's happening is the little tabs that hold the nails are hitting the sheetrock. So now this thing should come out of here. See that? Like a glove. Straighten this insulation out and move it out of the way as much as I can. So when I fish, my switch leg down comes in. Let's clean this up a little bit. Remember I said to you guys, if you don't have a multi-tool, get a multi-tool. Best tool that I have, honestly. All right, let's vacuum this up so we don't track it around. All right, let's jump up in the attic. All right, about to head up in the attic here. Got another Racketeer product, the wire tub. I love that thing. Works great for unspooling Romex, keeps it nice and straight. So what I did is I just put it through my hole for my fan. I'll drag it over down to the switch. Excuse me. And go from there. Let me grab the stuff that we need for the fan box before I forget. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. All right, let's go up in the attic here. I've had the whole house fan on for a while now. Let's drop that. It should be fairly cool up here. Oh yeah, it feels good up here. I got this Milwaukee box here. I love it for bringing a bunch of stuff up into the attic. I'll just throw it around. All right, let's find out where we were working. Also, if you remember, we need to attach that ground to our can up here for the spa, so we'll do that while we're up here. All right, I see my Romex, so we gotta go this way. Under here. If you guys are not familiar with attics, you need to make sure you're walking on the studs here. I don't know if you can see that. Studs here. And when you can't see them, they're in line with the trusses. So that's how you'll know. But you need to make sure, especially in new houses, there's sprinkler lines. So before you just go trotting through the attic stepping on stuff, you need to just make sure you're not stepping on a sprinkler line or gas line or something like that, okay? So that was just, it's probably hard for you to see, but I do feel around my feet before I put my body weight on there. So this is where the fan box is going. Let's see if we can find right there. There she is. Let's get all this out of the way here. and see what I mean. See how there's a sprinkler line right here? That'd be really bad if you guys accidentally stepped on that instead of the stud. See how close it is? See how close that is to the stud? So that's why it's really important to just check your footing. And then the other ceiling fan box, that's the only downfall if you're not careful. Filling this thing up with insulation. So let's see if we can find that 14.3. This looks like it right here. Thought that was a 14.2 when I first saw it, but it feels like a 14.3. We weren't too far away from our original. There it is. Right there. Like that. Make sure we put a KO seal on that. Grab some dikes. Pull these staples out here. Don't leave your trash in people's attic, you guys. Take your trash with you. Don't be trash and take your trash. You know what I'm saying? Milwaukee staple gun. This is my next best tool besides my multi-tool. This thing's saved me so much time and it's pretty badass. So just like this, line it up, just like that. I'm done. This, got a bunch of that. Take my trash with me. Okay. Now, we need to go find the dining room box and then get this switch leg down to the switch. And I have a horrible habit of setting tools down and then they're gone in the snow. Alright, let's get our butts over here. I gotta watch that sprinkler line. See, they even have PEX lines too, you gotta be careful of. This box is gonna be full of insulation before we're done here. Let's see, should be right around here. That's where that switch is. Oh, you know what? I was thinking I was gonna see the switch leg up here for the other light, but that light is a porch light, so it doesn't come up here. I'm gonna have to pull some of this insulation back here. So make sure we're drilling. Let's see here. Let me find this. Look at that. Right there. What a gas. What a guess. Alright. So now the tricky part is going to be knowing where to drill down because we have that tight space between those two studs. Let's see here. Crap, I'm going to have to go back down and measure. I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking I was going to see that switch leg wire coming up, but it's not going to because it does the porch light. Alright, I'm going to go down, take some measurements, and then get a paddle bit for my drill. I'll be right back. Just want to show you guys what I did here to be able to find out where I need to be. Is I just poked a little tiny hole in the ceiling and shoved a ground wire up there. That way I know where to be to get drill through, and then we'll just put a little bit of spackle there and you'll never even know that I punched that hole. All right, let's get back up here and drill that hole down. Look at that. And there's our ground wire coming through right there. So this is our top plate right here, so we're just gonna go right through. Barely made it without an extension. Barely. I can get rid of this now. Put that in my box. This guy get shoved down in there. I always like to just slowly force my way through the insulation. Give it a little shake, just so it doesn't coil up on you. That should be down there. Let's go check. Really quick, let's clear some insulation out of the way in that bathroom since we're up here. It's pretty congested with crap over here. Can light. So we're gonna be, let's be very careful around here with all this stuff. All right, so we're gonna be right in front of this exhaust fan here. So let's clear all this out. HVAC guy, trash. Just move all this out of our way and then we'll push it all back when we're done. And here's the shower trim, or shower can, I mean. So we're gonna be tying into. Also replacing it so they both match. I'm gonna get rid of this can. We'll put a canless can in. Let's push all this out of our way here. Oh, nice, look at that. Look at that. Just look at it. Come on, guys. I've had enough of it. These things out of here. Just leave them right there so I can grab them from below. Okay, that'll clear it out. That'll work. And just put it all back. All right, that's good enough. Look at that, guys. Right out the hole. That's the second time that's happened to me in the last couple weeks.